Morning and welcome all. I'm your host Jason, and I'm bringing you Title Time Week 11 edition here on Toilets to Titles. I'm a little bit out of sorts. You probably could tell by that intro. I'm a little bit under the weather, just enough to be annoying, but not enough to put me on IR. So I am here. We are here to answer all your start-sit questions, your potential trade questions. I know trade deadline's coming up in a lot of leagues. Hopefully not in your dynasty, because I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us when I say there should not be trade deadlines in any dynasty league. But like I said, I'm your host, Jason, and with me, making a triumphant return, I'm going to say Mom is back. Welcome back, Justin. How are you?
Hey, good. Real quick, just because when I pull it up, it's going to make the sound in the background. If somebody wants to share the link to the Discord, I tried to, but it doesn't look like a hyperlink there. But if somebody could do that, that would be awesome. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. Hit a little bit of a personal funk, a little depression here lately, and I'm trying to bounce back. And I figured the best way would be to get on a show that has a bunch of goofballs that are ready to make fun of each other and talk football. So I thought maybe this might help break that ice, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're back, or I'm back. To help you guys out, because I noticed that your start-sit percentages were starting to drop, so I felt like you needed me.
I'm
lying. I haven't done it the last 2 weeks. I'm just
Mom comes in with the band hammer, talking all the junk. Below us, finally out of his car, back in his cell. They finally caught him.
2 weeks.
We're gonna talk Frito Bandito. Rich, how you doing this morning?
Doing good. Yeah. The roof is put back on. The world is right again. So, nice, easy weekend and stuff like that. It's been a relaxful weekend. Let's just say that. I'm ready for some football, man.
Nothing better than like getting some stuff fixed on your house and knowing, okay, for a little while, we're good. We're just good. Dave, last when we saw you, the babies were sick. We didn't get to see them last week because they were under the weather. How is life in the Fantasy Genius household?
It is much better today. Last night was the first night the baby slept through the night again, so I am fresh and ready to go. And yeah, the babies will be here at some point.
That's great. Awesome. Glad you are feeling better and the babies are feeling better too. And last but not least, a man who's also under the weather a little bit. It's mostly because we were making out before the show.
It's completely because of that.
A guy who will be celebrating a birthday before we hit next Sunday. Put your hands together for George. How you doing, George?
Like you said, feeling a little under the weather, but I'm here. Jason told me what he had was not contagious. Clearly, he lied. But outside of that, doing pretty good.
I mean, listen, I say what I say to get what I need. That's all there is to it.
I should, as long as we've known each other, I should know that by now.
You should. You got your finger up, Justin. You're muted, though, also.
George Kittle, unlikely to play. Sorry, out of practice.
No worries. That was an important one to get in. So, all right, guys. Before we get started, I do want to mention that we have a Patreon, patreon.com/toiletstitle, patreon.com/toiletstitle. We have a tier for every salary, basically. You know, we got the $2.99 tier all the way up to the Frito Bandito will come over and drive you around for 2 weeks tier. That one's a little bit higher because it is at least the cost of a new roof. But Frito will come over. He'll fill your car 2/3 up with Fritos, and then you'll go for a ride.
Yeah, just make sure you bring a booster seat too.
And then we also have the tier where Mark will come over and make you chicken tenders. Mark, how you doing this morning?
Good. Late night last night watching the GOAT. John Jones beat one of the best heavyweights in our generation. It's fun to watch.
Well, I will have you know that I started the stream Friday night to watch Jake Paul fight Mike Tyson, and it finally caught up yesterday. I was able to watch it. So,
Sorry to hear that.
Netflix needs to hire some engineers pretty damn quick. Nick, I hear they're getting football games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say on Christmas. I'm worried about that. We're going to see a
Yeah.
snap and then touchdown 15 minutes later.
Hi.
There we are.
Hey, buddy.
Better. Hello. Hello. See, that right there is way more entertaining than the fake Jake Paul fight, I've got to say.
I agree.
I heard they both got suspended, but I didn't read past the headline to figure out why.
That was such a clickbait article. Like,
Was
it in Texas, whenever you fight, you have to not fight for at least 2 days for every round you fought. So they're just suspended for the 14 or 16 days because they fought 8 rounds.
That's actually a rule for all boxing.
Yeah.
It's not so per round and stuff like that, but after a fight, you do have to. You technically get suspended for a certain time frame.
All right. Well, this is the question I ask every week. We're going to get into it, but before I do that, I'm going to go over last week's winners and losers. Rich picked the Lions, who won. Dave picked the 49ers, who just barely won, unfortunately. George went out on a limb and picked the Cowboys, and that was a loss, and I picked the Commanders, and I was real close to making Dave sad, but in the end, the Steelers beat the Commanders, so I lost as well. So we were 2-2 on picks. This week with Rich actually in his house, he can actually look over the games a little bit, so he's going to get to go last. And because Mom's here after a couple-week hiatus, Mom gets to pick the first game.
Oh, man. And we have to pick our winner, too?
You do, yep.
Okay, so the obvious game of the week is the Chiefs and the Bills. So that has to be the game of the week that we start off with. Choosing the winner, though, is difficult because that depends on the refs this week. Like, the ultimate losers are everybody and the refs. So we don't really know exactly what bad call they're going to get at the end to shift the game. But at the end of the day, I've got the Bills in this one by a very narrow margin. I don't know what the point spread is, but I feel like the Bills at home are going to put an end to the winning streak because let's face it, the Chiefs haven't played the strongest of schedules, and they've had a lot of close games. Now they have a really pretty tough opponent here, so I think the Bills get it done.
So I'm going to implement a new rule. We're going to call this new rule. I will let you take the same game as somebody else if you are the first person to pick against the first pick. So, and it doesn't matter. It can be whatever game George takes next. Somebody can pick against him too, but only one person can do that. That way we don't get but there's 6 of us on here. Most of us will want that game, but I'm only going to let you take it if you're picking against Justin. So, George, I'm going to let you go next.
Well, thank you. And everybody knows how much I absolutely hate the Bills, being a Dolphins fan. They pretty much own us. So that's not the game I'm going to go with, though. I'm going to go with the Seahawks at the 49ers. As Justin mentioned, questionable is George Kittle. Most likely not going to play. No Brandon Ayuk. I want to see how the 49ers respond. I want to see how much of a workload Christian McCaffrey has after last week where it was reported he only get about 20 touches or 20 reps and played a hell of a lot more than 20 reps. That was for sure. So I want to see that game. I'm going to take the 49ers at home over the Seahawks.
All right. I got George down for the 49ers. We're just going to go around the horn there. Mark, you are up next.
All right. So this one is my actual true game of the week. It's the Ravens versus the Steelers. I can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be a slugfest the entire game. This is the Steelers' first divisional game of the season, right, David? Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And I'm actually going to take the underdog, and I'm going to go with the Steelers to beat the Ravens.
Mark putting the hex on the Steelers.
Not if David goes with the Ravens here.
Well, David, and you know what? Because we're picking, if you're going to argue against I'll let you pick your own team. That'll be part of that new rule. So you're allowed to pick your own game if you're picking against somebody that's already made a pick. So David,
Yeah, I'm not picking against the Steelers. That's never going to happen. And I just like to say that honorable mention to the game of the week is actually the Browns versus the Saints. But I'm going to go with the Bengals and the Chargers. It's an interesting strength versus strength, great offense versus a great defense. And I like the offense better. And if I don't call the Bengals, Dina might shank me. So we're going to go with the Bengals.
all right, David. Now we haven't had somebody go against somebody else yet, but I'm going to let Rich go next.
Yeah, I'll buck that trend because that was my game of the week too. Was the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens, and Pittsburgh's +3. I mean, yeah, it's their home game, but I think Ravens going to come in and win this game very easily. These are always close games and stuff like that, but I just have a feeling this one ain't going to be that close of a game.
Steelers are going to stomp them. I get it.
Yeah, no, I you know what? Ravens by 7.
All right, we got Ravens for Rich, and I'm also gonna take the new rule. I do like the Jameis Winston revenge game, Browns Saints. That's interesting to me. Not really, but it's still funny.
Not really.
I am gonna buck the trend. I'm gonna take the Chiefs Bills, and I'm gonna be on the Chiefs side because it's the only way I can get a piece of that game. And I do think they stay undefeated. I think they figure it out. I think the Bills are down so many of their weapons, and the Chiefs are getting relatively healthy. So I also don't think it's going to be as fun of a game as everybody expects. It's going to be more of a defensive game than an offensive game. So, but I do think the Chiefs pull it out, as they have at the end of most games or all games so far this year. And I kind of want to know what he thinks because he is very talking.
Yes, they have discovered Dada, so it has been Dada all the time.
That's
going to
make
not
Dina...
sure if they think me or Dina is Dada, so because they say it to both of us.
She is a very strong male presence, I do say.
Yes.
I think what they're doing is they're calling you Dada, and then when Dina has them, they're saying, no, we want Dada. That's what I'm going with.
All right, so we got our picks in. I'm going to ask one more question because it's something that's come up around our house. I'm just going to ask in general, is it too early to put up Christmas lights? We have been putting up Christmas lights for the last week. And after we go around, I'll give you our reasoning. But I saw Justin nodding. Is it too early to put up Christmas lights?
Bah humbug. We're done with Christmas.
I got you. Rich.
I don't have time.
You got a whole family, man. What are they doing?
What are those guys doing?
Making sure they pay attention 100% to our grandbaby.
That's a good point. And Dave, you got 2 twins. You guys, is it too early?
So I don't think it's too early, but Dina does not allow me till the day after Thanksgiving. But I am definitely the guy singing Christmas carols in July. So,
Mark.
That's my role too. It goes for Christmas music and decorations day after Thanksgiving.
And George.
Respect the turkey.
So here's the thing. I respect the turkey. I'm happy. I'm a Thanksgiving guy. I'm going to be cooking a turkey for the first time in a few years for my family. So like I'm big in Thanksgiving, but we put up like 4 Christmas trees and decorations outside and completely do the living room, dining room, kitchen. It would be a damn shame to only enjoy that for a few weeks, which is like, it takes us 2.5 weeks to put all this shit up. Excuse my language. There's a cuss.
That's a you problem.
It takes us like 2.5 weeks to get all this stuff up. So like enjoying it for 3 to 4 weeks is not on the scorecard here. We want to enjoy it for longer. So like our outside decorations are basically done now. And half of our inside decorations are done. So it's just because we want to enjoy it once it's up. So
do you have a lot of outside decorations?
We've got lights on the house. We've got a couple prismatic trees. We've got a couple of inflatables. We've got some curtains over the windows. Yeah, you could say we have a decent amount. We're not one of those houses that like you drive by and music plays to it or whatever. We're not a go out of your way kind of thing, but it's tastefully themed. My wife kind of always puts stuff together. The only thing that doesn't really go, but she's a Star Wars nerd, so like we've got a giant AT-AT inflatable. And so normally we have one of those stars on the peak of the house that shoot down, So I found a metal X-wing, and I'm going to put that on the star, and then the strings that come down are going to be wrapped around the AT-AT's legs. So we'll be doing that here today. That's going to be something we're working on today. But yeah, we do too much. But I love Christmas time, so that's where we are. If anybody watching wants to talk about when they start packing stuff up, and then like Bobby Ham here, absolutely not get those lights up. It's tough that Bobby's on my side because he doesn't like bacon over ham. So
I said he's a traditionally wrong individual anyway. So take that for a grain of salt.
That makes it very tough for me to have him on my side, but I do appreciate him being on my side there. And then he also says, then listen to Twinkly Lights from Bob's Burgers. So I haven't heard that. I'll have to check it out.
And another side note for Mark and George, I think you guys should try to get to the Royal Rumble so that it's not a family trip for my birthday. We're trying to plan because it's the day after my birthday and it's right in Indianapolis. So we're trying to plan that, but Dina's trying to make it a family trip. I'm okay with it not being that. So you guys show up and then it's a grown-up trip.
Damn, did you get what I got out of that, Mark? We're not family.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what I took from that. I don't know about anybody else. That's what I took from that.
Children's.
No, that's not what you said. That is absolutely not what you said. You said, I don't want it to be a family trip. That's what you said.
Yeah. There will be chicken nuggets.
Go ahead, Mark.
Vendors.
No, I was acknowledging our tribal chief.
Solo Sokoa.
All right. So we've got all the prequel stuff out of the way. All of our weekly got to hit these. We're gonna get into these questions. We got a handful of Krana questions. Krana says, "Good morning, boys. Missed you last week, so happy to see you back here with all these questions." Krana says, "Shakir or Hopkins in a PPR?" And I'm gonna start with the man with the baby on his lap.
Shakir.
Yeah, in a full PPR of Shakir. Justin?
Man. Yeah, I'm going to go with Shakir also. That's a close one. That's good. Good question.
It feels like floor versus upside, doesn't it? George?
I think I'm going to go with Hopkins here. I like him to get a touchdown against that Bills secondary that's a little banged up and coming in a little short-handed today. So I'm going to go with DeAndre.
2 for Shakir, 1 for Hopkins. Mark? I do like what you said with floor versus potential here, but I'm going to go Hopkins as well. I think Kansas City is going to have to throw a little bit more in this game. So I like Hopkins, like George said, catching a touchdown.
No, that's 2 versus 2. Rich, you get to break the tie here. What Krana does is all on your shoulders.
Well, let's see. They're missing Kincaid. Amari Cooper ain't 100% and still trying to learn this offense. Keon Coleman. Yeah, I mean, it's Shakir. I mean, he's going to have more targets. Now, I will say Matt Collins has been sneakily good in the offense and everything, but I almost feel like if it comes down to a shootout, Bills are going to be behind, so they're going to be throwing more, and Shakir has more opportunity just with less options around him. So
he's also the second leading receiver in Yak this season so far, and as much as people don't want to admit it, Juju was looking good when he was in there, and he'll be back. So there's less opportunity for Hopkins, more opportunity for Shakir.
All right.
What do
We
you say?
are 3 for Shakir, 2 for Hopkins there. And then Kraft, Disley, or Knox. And I'm going to start with the guy who broke the tie last time. Go ahead, Rich.
Look, so the trap play here is with Kincaid being out, go Knox. He's going to have opportunity, but if you really sit here and look at all three of these tight ends, who has been more involved in their offense, and that's going to be Disley. He's been on a small tear. I mean, he ain't killing it by no means, but he's been productive and consistent. So I'm going with Disley.
All right, Justin.
Kraft does have the tougher matchup, even though it's still a pretty solid matchup against tight ends. And Disley has shown a huge bump in targets over the last few weeks. And they're letting Justin Herbert actually throw the football a lot more here these last few weeks as well. So I really like that one as well. But I'm going to go with Knox on this one just because the Chiefs are just that bad against tight ends. And that's the way that the Chiefs had set up their entire defense this entire season. It's been shut down the outside wide receivers, try to clog up the middle for the run, and then that leaves the middle open. So that's going to be Knox's area. So in a PPR, I'm going to go with Knox here, but I like all three options.
All right, and then the man with the different baby. We hot swapped babies in the middle of conversation. So hello.
I almost should say hi, Burrow. Thanks, guys.
That's what you should do.
I'm going to go with Kraft. Interesting note. I know it was noted earlier that the Steelers are playing their first division game. So are the Bears. It's the first time ever that two teams haven't played a division game by week 11. So, but I think the Bears are going to have a rude awakening to the rest of the division being much better than they are. And I expect Kraft to be part of that.
And I feel bad for Crana because that's a team there, but I kind of agree with you. Mark, we've got one for each now.
Yeah. I'd normally go Kraft here, but I don't like the matchup. I do think Knox is a sneaky good play this week. With Kincaid out, I actually think they use Knox more in the red zone than they would with Kincaid. And the matchup is good against the Chiefs, so I'm going to go Knox.
All right, we got 2 for Knox. George, you go in that direction?
Nope. So all three of these are playing teams that are ranked either 22 or worse against the tight end. Green Bay or Chicago rather is 22nd in fantasy points allowed to tight ends. Cincinnati is 25th and Kansas City is 29th. I believe a large part of that reason is because they allowed Isaiah Likely to blow up week 1. But if you remember, they completely took away the first tight end option there, Mark Andrews. Like, he was nowhere to be seen. As banged up as the Bills are on offense right now, there's no. I think Amari Cooper is still on the injury report. I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. I'm gonna say stay away from Dawson Knox. I think that's a trap play, to be honest. Even with Kincaid out, I'm gonna go with Tucker Kraft. I've got him ranked highest on my rankings here that I'm going by at tight end 11. So I'm gonna go against Tucker Kraft against the 22nd most generous team to tight ends.
All right, and I was gonna go a different direction, but I can't because that would tie it up at 2-2 for all of us.
Can I go again real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just looking at the schedule because of what George just said, and Chicago's only played one tight end all season that's even good, and that's Evan Ingram, and he scored 18.2 against them. Outside of that, they've not played a team that has a tight end, much less a good one. So I'm gonna change my pick here. I'm gonna go with Kraft because if Ingram can do that against them, and they are only, well, he said 22nd. I've got 19 on my list against tight ends, so I don't know. There might be a scoring difference somewhere, but either way, that's still not great against tight ends whenever they haven't played anybody. So I'm going to go with Kraft.
Well, that saves me from having a pick, so it's 3 Kraft. And
well, I the reason I went against them and said I thought they had a bad matchup was the last 2 weeks. I mean, Bears played against Hunter Henry and Trey McBride, and they both had under 40 yards. I think Henry only had 15, and then Trey McBride only had 30 yards that game. So, I mean, I'm looking at what they've done recently, and they kind of have shut the tight end down.
All right. Well, we'll leave it with Kraft for now, and then if anybody wants to change their mind again, we can get back to it.
It's a good problem to have, though, that every one of your people got picked. I mean, every one of them is viable.
That was still McBride's third best game in PPR.
Is it?
Yeah, 12.7. But he also had his only touchdown on the season, albeit a rush. He still hasn't had a receiving touchdown yet.
Which is insane with the amount of receptions he's had.
Right.
And the amount of targets. Like he's getting what you want from a number one tight end. He's just not getting the touchdown. So hopefully we get some positive regression, which I always think is a weird term. Positive regression is an odd one to me. It just doesn't sound right, but whatever. Kranishaw, also BTJ, Douglas, or Dubs. We're going to start with Burrow down there.
Hi. I mean, if BTJ is healthy, I'm going with BTJ out of these three. I'm just not sure that he is, but I'm going to go BTJ.
All right, Brian Thomas Jr. with Mac Jones throwing him the football.
Mm-hmm.
George.
I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. as well. I listen. I like Pop Douglas. I like Romeo Doubs, but I don't like them nearly as much as Brian Thomas Jr.
All right, Justin. That's 2 for Brian Thomas.
Give me Douglas. If T-Law was healthy, I know he's not been a good quarterback this year, but he's at least been a serviceable quarterback for Brian Thomas, especially. But without him, Brian Thomas isn't looking like Brian Thomas. So give me Pop Douglas.
All right, 1 for Pop, 2 for BTJ. Mark is nodding a little bit. What do you got there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going Douglas too. I mean, it hurts not being able to pick Brian Thomas Jr., but as bad as Trevor's been this year, Mac Jones like a million times worse. I'm just not starting anybody with Jacksonville with Mac Jones under center.
See, and I think this sets up perfectly because we get Rich to break the tie a little bit, and he is the soothsayer. So, soothsayer, what do you say?
Yeah, so obviously Detroit Lions favored by 14. I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. and hear me out is look just by the sheer complexity that they're going to be throwing the whole game after Detroit goes up like 50 points. And on top of that, second half, they might pull the starters from the Lions defense and have more opportunity for Brian Thomas and everything. So just by that sheer point alone, I'm just going with the BTJ. That's a great acronym going forward.
All right, so we got BTJ. Let me ask for a friend, BTJ or Hopkins, and no, you don't have to. We don't have to go in order.
BTJ.
I'm gonna go Hopkins.
2 Hopkins, 1 BTJ. George. 3
Hopkins for me.
Okay, that's what I have going right. I mean, my friend has going right now, but all right. Let's see. Second part of this question: Tillman or Waddle PPR? I'm gonna let George answer.
I'm going to go with Tillman in PPR until I see something from Waddle.
All right, Rich.
Yeah, it's Tillman easy for me. He has become one of those plug and plays. You just leave him in your lineup until he shows me otherwise.
All right, and I got the thumbs up from Justin and Dave, so I think they agree. Mark too. Okay, so we're all Tillman there. And then last one in this one, Judy Reed or Quentin Johnson in a PPR. I'm gonna start with Mark.
I think it's Bengals secondary for me. I'm gonna go Quentin Johnson.
Q. All right, Q. We got Rich saying yes to Q. Anybody not going Quentin Johnson here?
Yeah, I'm considering going Jerry Jeudy. I don't think there's defense in that game at all. I think it's just, the Jameis Winston revenge game plus Derek Carr and the high-flying Saints against any team that's bad anyway. I think that it's going to be high-scoring and crazy and a lot of opportunity.
Okay, so we got Jerry Jeudy there. We got 2 for Quentin Johnson. Justin.
Their last 3 weeks or their last 3 games before the bye, Jeudy has averaged over 8, almost 9 targets per game. And all of that without a touchdown, and he's still been the last 2 weeks, especially scored in the double digits. Did not play as well against Cincinnati, but I think against the Ravens, and I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy as well. And most of that is because with Johnston, his recent success, I think even though he's steadily becoming more of that offense, he's still going to be touchdown dependent. So give me Jeudy in a PPR.
So that's 2-2, and George gets to break the tie.
I'm going with Quentin Johnston. They've been allowing Justin Herbert to throw the ball a little bit more. I like Jeudy. I like Reed. But if I have to start one of these, I'm going to go with Quentin Johnson. I do have him ranked slightly above both of the other 2 guys, so I'm going to stick to the rankings.
All right. That breaks the tie. We're going to stay right over here with George. Wilson or Nix in 6-point passing touchdowns?
I'm assuming that this is Russell Wilson, not. So I'm going to go with Russell. Yeah, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson against the Ravens. That's a defense you can throw on. Justin?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to throw on him too. Yeah, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson as well.
All right. 2 for Russell Wilson. Anybody disagree with Russell Wilson here? I didn't think Dave usually disagrees when I say, does anybody disagree? I think Dave makes a point to disagree, and I wanted to do it this time because it's a Steeler. So I had to go there. Now we've got Stroud with Nico Collins back, or Herbert 6-point passing touchdown.
Stroud.
I'm going to start. Well, I guess Dave started it off with Stroud, even though I can't see his face. So we'll go with Rich next. We got a thumbs up there. Mark, Stroud or Herbert?
I do think Stroud has a much better game than we've seen recently now that he has Nico back. But again, Herbert against the Bengals secondary, I'm taking Herbert.
Heard a stat on a show that I listened to where Stroud scores 5 points better roughly when Nico Collins is in the lineup. Justin.
This is going to be a heavy mix-in game, I feel. I don't think they're going to have to throw the ball a whole lot. I don't see Stroud getting pressured enough to need to use his legs at all either. So I do think he plays well with Nico as well. But Herbert has been on a small tear lately. They've been throwing the ball a lot more. I'm going to go with Beast Herbert.
All right, and George.
I can see arguments for both these guys. Herbert's been playing a lot better. Stroud hasn't been nearly what you thought he was when you drafted him. Going by my quarterback rankings, I have Herbert just ahead of Stroud. I'm going to go with Herbert.
All right, and how many people had Herbert? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, 3-2, Herbert over Stroud. London or Metcalf in a PPR? I'm going to start with Rich.
I'm actually going to go. Oh, that's a good one right there. I'm going Metcalf. I've been on Metcalf all year long with him coming back. London is coming. He's kind of been playing with the injury, and he was going to be questionable. I know he's going to play, but I'm going to roll with Metcalf.
All right, isn't Drake London like the number 5 wide receiver on the year or something? Somebody want to look that up for me, but we'll go next with Justin.
Denver's defensive back's pretty tough.
Yeah.
That one's tough for Drake London, but DK coming back off of the injury, I think, gives about as much cause for concern for me as London playing on his injury. Give me Drake London. I think they're going to be more likely to have to throw the ball a lot because I think Seattle tries to minimize San Francisco's time with the ball today, so they're going to try to run the ball a lot. So give me Drake London.
All right, that's one for each. Dave?
Come back to me.
All right, George.
I'm gonna go. Let me check my rankings. My gut tells me I want to go with Drake London over Metcalf, but let me check the rankings just to confirm what I'm feeling.
Okay, while you're doing that, Mark, you go.
Yeah, it's Drake London. I get Denver is a very, very good defensive playing at Denver. I've got Metcalf at number 18 in these rankings. I've got Drake London at number 13. Metcalf is also playing a really good secondary in San Francisco. There's more options for Seattle and Geno Smith to throw to outside of Metcalf in Seattle than there is in Atlanta with Drake London. Not concerned about Drake London coming back from the injury, to be honest. How many times have we seen guys come back from injury and their first game back, they don't miss really a beat? It's just happened more times than I care to count, so I'm going to go with Drake London.
All right, Mark.
Question your answer earlier was 4. He's 4th receiver overall on the season.
I knew he was in that area.
Yeah, I'm going London. It sucks you can't start both. I mean, I hope that second part of the question isn't the same league because I'd start both over all the other guys, but I'm going London.
All right, and then David, finally coming back around to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Metcalf. I actually think Mooney's going to have the better game here. I think London will be covered by PS3 the entire time. That defense is just stellar. I was also shocked to find that London is the 5th wide receiver so far this year, but Mooney's the 8th. So it's a plethora of riches there. The fact that they're in such a bad division, they should be completely stomping right now. But yeah, I'm going to go with London or Metcalf rather.
You were right.
All right, so
you were right.
That's 3 with London, 2 for Metcalf. And then the next question: Jennings, JSN, Waddle, Downs, pick 1. I'm gonna start with the Anthony Richardson led Colts fan over here, and let you decide whether you're gonna take Downs or not.
No, it's Jennings, and it's kind of a landslide for me. Not even close.
Okay, and we're gonna go around the horn. We'll let Rich go next.
Yeah, it's Jennings with Kittle being out. Pearsall being in there really helps Jennings and Debo and everything because of what he's been able to do and everything in the time frame with him being back. So I think just gives more opportunity for Jennings to have a better game than some of the with the other receivers on here.
All right, that's 2 for Jennings. We got Dave next.
Yeah, it's Jennings.
All right, and Mark.
I would have won Jennings even if Kittle was playing, so definitely no.
Yeah, he's been a large part of the offense since Ayuk has been out. So, George.
Yeah, I'm going Jennings here as well. I think he's the clear pick here.
All right, and then this is so everybody was on Jennings there, which means it'll probably be Waddle. This is Crano's last pick here.
I'd be happy with that. That's not the dish you think it is.
So finally, pick 1: Chubb, Pollard, Najee, and he says, "Thanks, guys. Go Bears. Hopefully, rebound with the start of no Shane Waldron." So, all right, I'm gonna start with Dave. Chubb, Pollard, or Najee?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is.
I think I'm going Najee, but let me see something real quick. Yeah, I'm going.
The Ravens are pretty stout against the run, but I think that's just because teams don't run on them.
Yeah. I'm going to go Najee.
All right, that's Najee. Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Najee too.
That's 2 for Najee. Go ahead, Justin.
You know what? I'm gonna roll with Chubb here. I think after the bye week, he's had an opportunity to play for a few weeks now. He's got the bye week to kind of rest up and prepare, and I think maybe he bounces back and he gets things rolling this week. With this matchup, like this is kind of a really good matchup for him against New Orleans, where they could potentially be playing in a neutral game script or even a positive game script and utilize Chubb more. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Chubb.
Hey, you know what? I apologize. I'm gonna change the Chubb too after rethinking my earlier decision.
All right, 2 for Chubb. 2 for Chubb, 1 for Najee. Mark?
I'm going Pollard. I think there's a reason teams don't run against Baltimore. That front is stout. Like I just don't see Najee going off on them. And Baltimore held the generational Chase Brown to only 42 yards rushing last week. So
how did Tampa do against them a couple weeks ago? I thought it was pretty good because they had to.
Was it rushing though, or was it the backs catching passes?
I think it was a little bit of both. Rashad had 40, he was the high runner, but he averaged 4. Let me look to see what.
I'd be willing to say that the Steelers are going to rush for 150 yards as a team tonight.
I'll take that bet. I'll go against that bet.
Oh, we have I heard bet. Is that a board bet?
Board bet.
Oh, I missed something. I was trying to chat with George in the private chat here. I missed it. What are we doing?
David said that Steelers will rush for over 150 yards.
Oh, I'll take that bet. They ain't getting anywhere close to that.
Okay.
I'll make it even better. Steelers don't rush for over 100 yards as a team.
Tampa had, my math is terrible, but Tampa had over 100 for sure.
So it was Mark, George, and myself that say no?
Yeah, 150 is a lot. I'm going to say no to 150, but I take over 100.
The whole panel.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm doing math now.
This is why it sucks to be fans of team, because your blinders are on.
Russell Wilson could technically, take off for a couple of decent 5-10 yard runs too to help out with that as well.
Yeah, Tampa had 125, so it's not impossible for the Steelers to do better than that.
Because I'm still totally counting quarterback rushing yards because
you have to.
Yeah,
team rushing.
Plus, I don't want to do the math.
All right. So George, did you ever give an answer here?
No, but I'm going to go with Nick Chubb as well. There's talks in Tennessee about reducing Tony Pollard's workload. Najee Harris is banged up. I believe it's he's coming into this game as questionable to even play. So I'm going to stick with Nick Chubb here, who has New Orleans, who is one of the worst teams against the run in the NFL.
All right, so Nick Chubb it is. Bobby Ham says happy footballs to everybody. You as well. Hey, look, the Bucs aren't playing, so that means the Bucs can't lose.
That's not true.
This is a great football week for me. I can just enjoy football without stressing over how they're going to find a way to lose at the end of the game.
Jason, there were times throughout history the Bucs have lost on their bye week.
That's true.
It's possible. Yeah, trust me, as a Colts fan, it's possible if you for your team to be on a bye week and not lose, but still be losers.
Half PPR Disley versus Cincinnati or Knox versus Kansas City, please and thank you. We'll start with Mom. Go ahead. You're nodding up there, Justin.
Yeah, there was a third option in there with these two earlier, and I still went with Knox, so I'm going to go with Knox here.
All right. Rich.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with you. It got basically the same question we had earlier, so I'm sticking with you. I picked, and that was Disley.
I do say that half PPR over full PPR makes it closer for me, but I'm still sticking with them.
All right, and I mean, in half PPR, I'd be even further on the Disley side. I think he's going to have more catches, but less touchdown opportunity. But
see, I was thinking the other way.
David.
Yeah, so I took the third option in this one earlier, but if I had to choose between these two, I'd be going Disley.
Okay, 2 for Disley. Mark?
I went with Knox earlier. Obviously, I'm sticking here. I think half PPR helps Knox because I expect a touchdown to boost his production.
George to break the tie.
Yeah, I called Knox a trap play earlier. I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to go with Will Disley against Cincinnati.
I'm pretty proud of you guys for all remembering what you picked earlier. If this question came at the end of the show, we might have all picked something different. So, good thing it happened so soon. Bobby says, pick 2 to start. Estime, Mostert, Braylon, Allen. No James Conner this week, but this team is still 6-4. The most perplexing look on the screen is David, so I've got to go with him. He's got that confused. What am I going to do here? Look, and I have to go to that first.
I mean, I'm going to go Estime and Mostert. It was pretty easy for me. It's just that's a really bad set of running backs to have to choose from. And it reminds me of a league I'm in, a dynasty league where I traded away my running backs going for the future because my team was just hot garbage. And I'm currently rolling with Blake Corum and Isaac Garendo as my running backs this week. So,
all right. So it's Estime and Mostert. George Mostert got what, 3 carries last week?
Yeah, and he had a big fumble, and it looks like they punished him for that. Also, if you've been paying attention late in games, like pretty much the entire fourth quarter, Mostert really doesn't get on the field much. They've been going with Jaylen Warren, who's the rookie that they drafted this year. They actually traded up. They traded a future third to move up into the 4th round to pick him, and he's the biggest of the running backs on the team. He's also one of the fastest. So he adds a little something different, and they figured by the time fourth quarter gets around, putting in a fresh bruiser is a smart play. I would go with Estime, and I would go with Mostert here, even though they didn't give Mostert a whole lot of run last week. I still think he's going to, at least for the first 3 quarters, if they get close to the goal line, they're gonna hand it off to him first to try to punch it in. And no offense to Rich, Ravens are a little banged up. They're missing what's his name? They signed from the Dolphins, the defensive tackle. They spent millions on him,
Wilkins?
$32 million a year. Yeah, Christian Wilkinson. He's not playing for the Ravens this week. He's on IR for the season.
Raiders.
The Raiders rather. Thank you. So that's not going to help their front 4. So I'm going to go with Mostert and Estime.
We'll clean it up a little bit too. It's not Jaylen Warren, it's Jalen Wright. But I get what you were talking
close
about.
enough.
I know what you're talking about.
This head cold has got me all screwed up.
That triggered in my head, but I couldn't figure out what the right name was, so I was just letting it go.
Yeah.
It turns out it is right.
It is right.
There was a gauntlet thrown down over to Rich because the Dolphins are playing the Raiders, so we'll go there next. Who do you got here?
I'm going Estime. He led the Broncos in carries last week. It's at that point of the season now where they start looking at the players they drafted and everything. And with him leading the backfield in Denver, I think he continues on down that path for the rest of the season. He's going to be the running back to own in that backfield. So,
well, but you also have to pick one more because it's pick 2.
Oh, you know what? Why not? Mostert against the Raiders. Our running defense has been horrible. Braylon Allen, look, I love the guy. I love that kid, man. But he does take advantage when he has the opportunity. But He got Brees Hall in front of him.
He's still getting sloppy seconds, Justin.
Yeah, so I have several shares of Brees Hall, and Braylon Allen gets enough carries to tick me off. Typically, I'm going to choose a running back that's going against the Colts because, for one, they're not great against running backs, and for two, if the Colts do stop them, then I'm still happy. But in this case, I mean, Rich, you said that the Raiders' run defense is that bad. Is their pass defense really that good, or do they just teams run against them so much because their run defense is so bad, so it makes their pass defense look better?
Their run defense is just been horrible and stuff. Their pass defense has been real good. It's the fact that they keep they're in all the games. It gets to the point where they just get ran down and stuff like that and end up giving up few. They give it up more on the run game than anything, though. So
yeah, I just think this is going to be a heavy run game for Mostert and HN and Wright. I think all three of them can get a decent number of looks, at least enough to start him over Braylon Allen. And then Estime, I agree. I think it's time for Sean Payton to start getting his own guys in there and start making that push. We kind of started seeing it last week. So I'm going to go with Estime with low expectations on Estime, but high hopes.
All right. And then Mark.
So I'm definitely going to Estime. Anytime you have somebody competing with Javonte Williams, go the other way. Shows time and time again, like he is just a garbage running back. Mostert actually last week didn't get a single carry. Everything was through the air, which is insane. So this is very tough for me, but because like Justin mentioned, like Braylon Allen does get just enough carries to be annoying. And if one of those is in the red zone, he could very easily pop it in. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna lean Mostert and say that last week was an anomaly, and he will get carries this week. And he's going to be involved in the pass game, so I'm going to go Estime and Mostert.
All right, and that seems like the consensus here, so we can move on. Got one more from Krana. Did have one more question. Should I sit Tyreek for Myers in a PPR? Anybody sitting Tyreek for Jacoby Myers?
I don't think so.
I think
no, but I probably sit Sutton for Jacoby Myers.
Anybody sitting Sutton for Jacoby Myers besides Justin?
I would.
I am.
I mean, yeah, I'm sitting Sutton. I think
I'd rather have Myers over Sutton.
I'm going Nico and Tyreek.
Well, I think you get three of these.
Sutton and one of the other two, so it'd be three of them, yeah. So it'd
be Tyreek, Nico, and Myers.
Unless Nico and Sutton are both on the bench.
No, I think he's saying those are two that are in.
Gotcha.
And then he was looking for the third. So
okay.
So it'll be for us. It's Tyreek, Nico, and Sutton.
Gotcha. Yeah, Tyreek. Yeah.
Or sorry, Tyreek, Nico, and Myers.
Over Sutton.
Yeah. All right. Got that figured out. Horrible superflex question with no.
I'm so confused. Let's move on.
I think it was just pick three receivers out of those four that he had.
And knowing you, Justin, just say never Sutton, and we can move on.
No, actually, if I'm picking three of them, I would go with Sutton. Then yeah, Tyreek, Nico, and Sutton. Okay, I'm tracking.
But the majority of us had Tyreek, Myers, and Nico.
Oh,
correct.
So the Never Sutton guy is the one that chose Sutton.
Yep,
yeah,
that's correct. I was trying to give you an out, and we could have moved on, but no. This week, you heard it here first. Justin is a Sutton guy, and always Sutton guy. All right, Justin. Horrible superflex question with no QB to put in. Pittman, Estime, Madison, Mostert, Gus Edwards, Mike Williams have. I have a 2-game first place lead, so I can play around and have fun today. I think he needs one of these. I'm assuming he needs one.
Yes, he does. He messaged me earlier that he needs one of these.
Okay, well, Justin knows, so Justin, go first.
Yeah, I had already given my advice earlier. I told him, just like I said moments ago, that I think this is going to be a heavy run game for the Dolphins, so I would have gone Mostert, but I know how he feels personally, so I told him to go with his heart, and I'm not going to tell you guys what that is, so I don't sway your decision here. So I'll let you guys give your opinion, and then I'll let you know who is on his heart to want to play today.
1 for Mostert. All right. Rich.
I'm sticking with Estime.
And 1 for Estime. Dave.
I'm going to go Pittman, but if you are wanting just to have fun, I'd say Estime. He's a dart throw, could be exciting, etc. So if you're just wanting to have some fun, Estime, but Pittman's probably the safest player here.
Pittman with Anthony Richardson?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's the safest play. Mark?
I don't know if any of this is having fun, but
Or safe.
I'm going to go Estime.
All right, 2 for Estime. 3 if you want to have fun. George.
I want to have fun. I want to have a lot of fun. I want to go to Estime.
And that's
Okay.
who Dustin was leaning. He said he wants to have some fun. He's hoping that Estime has that big breakout game. So there you go. There you have it, Dustin.
If I'm having fun, I'm playing Mike Williams because
I thought that's what his gut was going to be, because I know he's a Steelers fan, so I thought it was going to be Mike Williams.
I think Mike Williams is the most fun play here.
No,
You hope he gets a couple.
it's never fun having to rely on Mike Williams to do anything.
But he's not relying
Especially
on
when
him.
he drops a wide open touchdown pass.
Listen, I loved him last week. I'm just saying.
Last week was beautiful, but I've seen easier catches where he just drops them.
Oh, I know. I'm ready for that. I know that's coming, but I am satisfied with his Steelers career.
All right, Bobby Him's back at it. Pearsall in a good matchup, or Jaden Reed against the Hard Bears matchup, half PPR. Dave.
I'm sorry, I was reading the second part of the parentheses and trying to understand what that was about.
He had another question previously. He was saying that one was also
earlier.
half PPR.
I'm going to go with Jaden Reed, and I don't think that it's that hard of a matchup.
All right, 1 for Jaden Reed. Rich.
Man, it's hard for me to go against Pearsall, but I think in this situation you have to go Jaden Reed.
2 for Jaden Reed. Justin.
Parasol, baby. No Kittle. Going to get a lot of slot looks. And we know that Purdy is a slotty quarterback. So I'm going to go with Parasol.
That's 2-1. Mark.
Yeah, I'm going Pearsall too. I think Seattle's secondary is bad enough for all of San Francisco's offense to eat tonight or today.
2-2. That's George to break the tie.
I want to have fun. I want to go with Ricky Pearsall.
I want to have fun.
All right. Yeah, girls just want to have fun.
That's
That's
right.
all it is. My son's on and says hi. Good morning, Eli. How are you?
Morning, Eli.
Morning.
Dustin says, oh, hello. And he's not been around a lot lately, but we've all been busy, so definitely understand. Jimmy F says, no Kittle this week. Can I plug in Jay Smith or Knox? Who should I choose? We had a handful of people already saying Knox here. Who's saying Smith over Knox? Anyone?
I think I'm going to go with Jonnu.
I'm going Jonnu.
That's
Yeah,
2
I'm
to
going
3.
Jonnu.
I'm going to go
Alright.
Jonnu too.
I'm going to stick with Knox. I think this is a lot closer, but I'm still going to stick Knox.
All right, and Nick the Kick, 17. PPR, Douglas, Dubs, BTJ, Estime. I'm going to go Rich first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with garbage time, and it is BTJ.
Well, you need another one, too.
I need to learn how to read the questions and listen. BTJ and Estime.
Much like the chips bags that that Rich's company fills. He only wants to give you part, not a full answer. I got thumbs up of BTJ estimate down there from Dave. We'll go with Mark next.
So I think we had this exact same question, just added Estime and have to pick an extra one. So I'm going to stick with what I went with earlier and go Douglas and add Estime as the second one.
Okay, Douglas and Estime. Justin?
I'm going to stick with Douglas like I did earlier as well, but I'm gonna actually go with BTJ over Estime on this one.
Okay, so that's 3 for BTJ. He's solidly in. We've got 2 for Douglas, and 2 for Estime. So
We got 3 for Estime.
Oh, we've got 3 for Estime. All right, so George.
I want to go with Dobbs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go BTJ, and I'm actually going to go Pop Douglas here.
All right, so it's BTJ and wait, does that tie Douglas and Estime?
Estime and Douglas.
All right, I'll break the tie and take Estime for fun. Tie goes to the runner there, so BTJ and Estime it is.
Well played, sir. Well played.
All right, Bobby Ham says pick 2. Sit the rest. CD Lamb, Garrett Wilson, London, Juwan Jennings.
Jesus.
All right, I must start with the obvious question. Who's sitting CD Lamb?
I would.
You could say pick 3, and I'd say CD Lamb here.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just start and see who's going with who. Justin, go ahead.
All right, Garrett Wilson is my lock in here, and I think the other one I'm going to start. Oh man,
Bobby Ham, this is a hell of a problem to have.
yes, I don't know. I want to start Wilson, London, and Jennings.
I'm sure Bobby does too, but I think he'd probably get kicked out of the league.
Okay, all right. Let me bench. Let me bench London just because of the injury. That's going to be the tiebreaker, and he's going to be the highest scorer of the 3. But I don't know. Yeah, just bench London and go win your championship, Robert.
Well, he's only got so he's benching London and one other. You only can pick 2.
Oh well, Lamb. We already know. Yeah,
okay,
Lamb.
so you're starting Jennings, or you're starting Lamb. I'm sorry.
Starting Jennings and Wilson.
You're starting Jennings. Okay. Rich.
Yeah, I think I'm starting Wilson in London.
Okay, Dave.
I wanted to go London and Jennings, but I just can't because of PS3. So I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson and Jennings.
Okay, 2 for Jennings, 3 for Wilson. Mark.
I'm going Garrett Wilson. He's the lock. And then London and Jennings are very close here, I think. But I'm going to lean London, I guess.
Really? One's going against a terrible Seattle secondary with no Kittle, no
I mean, when healthy, London's been pretty much matchup proof, I think.
So has PS3. And that's who he's going to be against, hands down. PS3 is one of the few defenders in the league where I sit there and I see that they're playing and I adjust my lineup because they're going against him.
We're not done yet. George still gets to make his pick. So, George.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson is the obvious lock against the Colts. That's an easy one.
Thanks.
That's not you. It's the Colts. And then the other one, I've got Drake London and CeeDee Lamb back-to-back in my rankings. My rankings tell you go Drake London, even against the tougher matchup. Clearly has the better quarterback. The thing that concerns me about Jennings is he still has Ricky Pearsall. He still has Deebo Samuel. He still has Christian McCaffrey. There's no George Kittle potentially, but that's fine. I can't sit Garrett Wilson. I can't sit Drake London. I'm going to have to sit Lamb and Jennings.
And we're all sitting CD Lamb. So
Feels weird to say.
It's close. They're 13 and 14 in my rankings.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Wilson and London. I get what you're saying about PS3, but we're on PS5 now, baby. So upgrade them graphics and come back to me. Bobby Ham says, pick 2 in a PPR. Mixon, Montgomery, Dobbins, Pollard, please and thank you. I'm going to start with Rich on this one.
Yeah, this is easy for me. Mixon and Montgomery.
Yep.
Same here.
That's 3. That's 4 from Mark. That's 5. By the way, Dave, I do appreciate you taking Daniels this week instead of Mixon.
I bet you do.
It does leave me with difficult quarterback starts, but man, Mixon has been so good. I am so glad you didn't take him from me.
Honestly, it was more about what I had to give up to get him. I just didn't feel like he was enough over Jones. And, well, I mean, I probably could have given you Breece Hall the way he's been, but I just feel like he's going to pick it up here. So,
do you mean in Frankenstein?
Yeah, in the Frankenstein.
So, so if anybody's interested, I did do a rundown of, before this week started, the potential playoff scenarios as of right now. Had this last week been the last week for Frankenstein, and you can find it over on Blue Sky. We are now new on Blue Sky. That's at Toilets and Titles over on Blue Sky. We are now over on that social media app. So I posted all of that on there if you want to go and check that out, especially if you're in one of our Frankenstein divisions. If you're interested in joining the Frankenstein for 2025 also, then anybody that's new to Blue Sky for us this week, between now and next Sunday's game, as long as Joe Mixon scores a touchdown. He's my guaranteed touchdown player. Since he's in this question, I wanted to jump in here. And he's my guaranteed touchdown player. If he scores a touchdown, or if he does not score a touchdown, then everybody that's new to us on Blue Sky will be entered in a drawing for a free spot in our Frankenstein Listener League.
Very, very cool. So get in on that. Jump in on Blue Sky. All right. Crana, last one for sure. Flowers or Higgins in a PPR? Have we heard whether Higgins is playing today?
Have we heard if this is definitely Crana's last one for sure?
I mean, let me scan back down through here. I mean, nope. No, it is not the last one for sure.
I mean, he should just give us his login information, and we'll just go set his lineups.
It is not his last one. He's got one further down. So, taking that part out, though, do we know if Higgins is playing? Have we read anything?
I believe he is playing.
I heard that he was going to play last game, but they wanted him to have the 10 days of rest afterwards because it was close. So they ruled him out, giving him another 10 days rest, so they would be good to go this week.
All right, good to go. So are we playing Flowers or Higgins? I'll start with Dave, who brings us that information.
I'm going Higgins if he's playing. He's been incredible every week that he's been in.
All right, Mark?
I'm going Higgins. Back on PS3, though, wasn't he guarding Flowers the majority of that Baltimore game? I know he was on that 34-yard touchdown that he got beat on.
Listen, that game was an anomaly entirely.
I know, because Lamar threw for a lot of touchdowns in that game.
I know it was. I don't think anybody there was prepared for it. They were like, "All right, get ready for some Derrick Henry."
Yeah. George,
I'm going Flowers here. I've got him ranked higher in my rankings. Yeah, it's going to be Flowers.
Listen, I will say if they're in a league where you get points for pass interference yards, go Flowers, because my boy Joey Porter Jr. is going to get some pass interference penalties against Flowers all day. But in any other league, it's Higgins.
All right, 2 for Higgins, 1 for Flowers. Rich?
Flowers.
Tied up. Justin gets to break the tie.
Flowers.
Yeah,
Flowers, not even close. Dude, my Jerry Jeudy versus T. Higgins board bet is finally looking good for me on my end. Jeudy passed him this past week, and now Judy's actually becoming more of that offense. Higgins is still going to be Higgins.
It only took Higgins being out 4 games.
Time to ruin that again.
Oh, you think, but only for a game or two, maybe. That's Higgins. This is what Higgins does.
That might be all he needs though, against Judy going the rest of the season.
If you drafted Higgins, you have been disappointed a lot more than you've been happy because of his lack of consistency and his inability to stay healthy. So I'm just saying that was part of my bet for Judy. Love you, Jerry Judy. Hope you're watching.
All right. Jimmy says, so that was Flowers over Higgins. Jimmy F says, pick 2, Higgins, JSN, Downs, and Addison, PPR league.
Might have to take Higgins.
Justin, I'm gonna make you.
All that
I'm gonna make you.
Hold on, let me look at something. I'm in desperation mode with Addison here right now.
Find any reasoning not to take Higgins.
Oh no,
Addison has not been good, so I'll leave you with that.
We've got a bad matchup. We've got Downs has Anthony Richardson back. Oh man, I have to pick 2, and I still. All right, it's Higgins and JSN. But if Judy were in there.
Do we think JSN had an emerging game last week, or is it a fluke without DK Metcalf in the lineup, George?
Don't think it's a fluke. You got to remember, coming out of college, JSN was one of the highest graded wide receivers of his class. So I'm not going to go as far and say it's a fluke because DK Metcalf wasn't there. I think that's a preview of what to expect when given the opportunities. He is a super talented wide receiver. With that said, I'm going to go with JSN and Higgins on this question.
That's 2 for JSN and Higgins. Mark, you agree or disagree?
I'm just going to switch up and go Downs instead of JSN. I don't think it was a fluke last week, but I also don't think you're going to get near to that this week with DK back.
All right. Rich?
Yeah, I'm going JSN and Downs.
All right, JSN and Downs. And then Dave.
Looks like you're going to have a tie to break because I'm going Higgins and Downs. I think JSN is very talented, and I don't think it has much to do with Metcalf being out. Obviously, he had more opportunity that way. I think he'll be just fine when they get a viable offensive line and a quarterback in there. So
I'm going to say Higgins and JSN because you want to talk about viable quarterback. 30% completion rate on 17 attempts doesn't move the needle for me with Downs. So it's going to be Higgins and JSN for me. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we did that earlier. Nicholas says half PPR. Flex Estimate, ETN, Shakir, or JSN? Oh, man. Can we all just say RIP to ETN? Is that where we are this year?
I think I can still flex him in certain spots. He's still going to get enough opportunity, and he's a running back, so you never know. And without T-Law, they're going to have to lean as much as they can on the running game. I can definitely flex him in certain spots, but I'm not
flexing. There's no Bigsby this week either, so.
Yeah, still not going to flex him over Shakir, I don't think.
Me neither. It's Shakir for me.
Oh, Bigsby's definitely out?
Yes, Bigsby's been ruled out.
Okay, that helps me in a league. Hold on, I'll be right back.
I'll be back right after this message.
I mean, so ETN's last 5 weeks, and of course, as soon as I say that, it pops up an ad. 5 points last week, 5 points the week before, negative 0.1 point the week before that, double digits 4 weeks ago, and then 7 before that. He's been under double digits in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. That's not getting it done for anybody. Rich.
Yeah, look, I'm big on Shakir and everything, but I'm going ETN. Matter of fact, on this one, due to the fact that they're going to be behind the game if Bigby's out, he's in line to get like 4 or 5 drop offs out of the backfield. I know it's a half point PPR, but it's still going to count on everything. So I'm taking ETN.
All right, and George.
Yeah, half point. I'm going with ETN. I would not be doing that if Tank Bigsby was there.
Yeah.
But they're going to be relying on ETN. I don't care what he did the past few weeks. Tank Bigsby was there the last few weeks. He's not there this week. He's going to get a full workload.
Isn't
gonna go-
Dearness Johnson the receiving back now?
I was gonna say, and he's healthy now. Like
I'm not overly worried about Dearness Johnson, to be honest.
All right, so who had Shakir?
I had Shakir. I just
who
think
had-
they tend to play Ernest Johnson a lot when they're getting blowed out. So
that was 3 for Shakir and 2 for ETN. All right.
Although this question really points out how far down in
Yeah.
the fantasy opinion Travis Etienne has fallen.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not one to ever veto a trade, but one came up last night between 2 players in my league: Jordan Love and Dalton Kincaid for Hawkinson and Russell Wilson.
So
What do
he
y'all
messaged
think?
me about this, and he said he didn't mean to use the word veto. He just wants to know your opinion on if this trade is equal or weighted.
I think it's equal enough.
I put it this way: unless you can prove collusion, the trade stands. This trade is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with this trade.
I mean,
Yeah.
Kincaid's been terrible, and Love is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson.
When
As
healthy.
far
Although he
as-
hasn't.
As
Say again?
far as it being close or not, do you know if it's a keeper or a redraft league?
Yeah, without context of what other players do you have? The guy that's losing Hawkinson, does he have another good tight end? Like, there's so much other. Just in a vacuum, yeah, this is close enough. Plus, we don't know if Jordan Love's groin injury has been downgraded to a small groin injury or if it's still a big groin injury. So there's that.
We're going to need to get our investigative reporter Mark Simon on that.
We're
Yeah.
downgrading it to a tiny groin injury.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, so Mark in his off week here went and did some real deep dive on this to check out the groin, and he says it's tiny. So, Josh Bigsby says, "Hello, my old friends. I need running back filler, P. Ryan or Gus Edwards." And then Frito is not allowed to answer, so we're going to let Frito answer first.
He's just mad because I'm whooping his ass already starting out in the league. We are at Barkley and freaking Ertz, and I'm already up like 70 points on him. And for that, I'm going to say I'm going to go with the person I don't want, and that is Perrine. But am I really thinking that, though, there, Josh?
All right, one for P. Ryan. Justin.
I think I'm going to go with Gus Edwards on this one. He had 10 carries last week. He's coming back from his injury. He's healthy. Looked good too. So I think they're going to utilize him more this week, and I like the matchup well enough to start him over P. Ryan.
All right, we're tied there, David.
Well, firstly, Jimmy just texted me and said it was a redraft league for that trade question. And I'm going to go with Gus Edwards, and it's quite honestly because I'm not even sure what team P. Ryan's on these days.
He's with the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so Edwards.
he's behind Hunt, Steele, and then Pacheco will be back sometime in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's Edwards without question for me.
All right, Mark.
I mean, I think Samaje has been decently involved, at least in the passing game recently, but I think we're seeing Gus Edwards get a lot of work now. He got 10 carries last week. I wouldn't be surprised if that goes up this week, so I'm going Edwards.
All right, and then George.
I'm all aboard the Gus bus.
All right, Gus, it is. You had one for P. Ryan, Josh, but he's a guy you're playing against, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Mini Jordan 718 says, "Good morning, Texans or Lions." Oh man,
Defense?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
defense. Obviously, I was gonna say, man, the line. Who can the Texans be playing that's worse than the Mac Jones led Jaguars team? And then I realized it was a Cooper Rush led Dallas team. We'll start with Rich because he's shaking his head around.
Yeah, I'm going Lions defense.
Yup.
That's
Yeah,
2.
listen, either one of these defenses is a great one. I'm going to go with the one who isn't facing, who doesn't have the best player on the field on the other team, regardless of who his quarterback is. CeeDee Lamb is still the best player in that game, and could go off if Cooper Rush gets his head out of his where. So I'll go with the Lions.
Okay, 3 for the Lions. Mark?
Yeah, I think it's. I get the question, but I think it's pretty easy for the Lions because Lions are already a great defense, and then you add that they're playing Mac Jones and the Jaguars.
And Justin?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions too.
And the bad thing about it is that game is a higher over under for 47.5 compared to the Texans Dallas game, which is 41. But freaking Detroit's probably going to score all 47 points. So,
and the Lions the next couple weeks, if you have the Lions, they play Anthony Richardson led Colts. Sorry, Justin. And then they play the Bears team that just scored 3 points against the Patriots. So I feel like you can use the Lions for the next several weeks if you hold on to them. Second part of this question here, Stroud or Mahomes? I'll let Justin answer first.
This is, man, I would say Mahomes easily, but with Nico back, I think that makes it super close. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Nico here. Like Mahomes has looked better recently. They've let him throw the ball more recently. Kelsey is starting to become more of the offense now that they've needed him. He's got an extra weapon in D-Hop, so theoretically his numbers should come up. But also, if they don't need for them to come up, they're not pushing for him to have big fantasy numbers. They're just pushing for whatever it takes to win the game. So for this week, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna go Stroud.
All right, Stroud. George.
I'm going Patrick Mahomes. He's been playing a lot better as of late. He's actually got a real wide receiver out there in DeAndre Hopkins now. I trust Mahomes a lot more than I trust Stroud. Stroud hasn't looked that great at all this year.
All right, that's 1v1. David.
Stroud.
2 for Stroud, 1 for Mahomes. Mark.
So while I do expect Stroud to be much better now that he has Nico back, like George said, Mahomes has been looking pretty good lately. I do expect him to have a good game against Buffalo. So, I don't want to risk it with Stroud. I'd rather wait a week and see with Nico back. And with having Mahomes, you're able to do that.
So the last 4 weeks in 6-point passing touchdown leagues, since week 7, 5.3, 12.4, 11.5, and 9.8 for Stroud. I'm sorry, that's not getting started over Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right, Soothsayer, what say you? Break the tie.
Guys, this doesn't even come down to the QBs. Both these QBs are probably tied neck to neck on where they stand for this. It comes down to the team's running game. Whose team's going to lean more on the running game than leaning on the passing? Texans are going to lean more on Mixon than and the Chiefs are going to lean more on Mahomes. So to me, it's Mahomes in this case because, like I said, even though it is a QB question, this comes down to the run games this week.
I don't know. The Bills' cornerbacks have been surprisingly good, and their running game has not been that great, and they're leaning into Hunt quite a bit.
Mixon is going to be the star of this game and stuff like he's going to be utilizing Stroud.
Last week against Denver, who we've established has PS3, Mahomes had 16.5 points. His last 4 weeks, 12.1, which was the low, 18.2, 24.5, and 16.5.
We can throw the 24 away. That's against the Bucks. Everybody scores a lot against the Bucks. Kirk Cousins has 1,000 yards against the Bucks this year. You can throw 24 away. We let Rich break the tie. Rich said Patrick Mahomes. That's 3-2. We can move on, but any game against the Bucks, you can just throw away. I'm just saying.
definitely want to move on to the next comment. What's up, Jerry?
Jerry
Jerry.
Mr. Genesis, I'm going to beat you this week. And Frank, good luck.
Listen, I think that
He's
there
off to a
needs
good
be
start. You're off to a good start with Jaden Daniels, I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm actually happy he left Brian Robinson on the bench. But although I wish he had started him, because I'm not going to steal Cam Akers or Khalil Herbert. I think there needs to be a monster that lets me go back and steal a different person a previous week, because now I'd rather steal one of these quarterbacks, and I would have stole Mixon last week if I had looked ahead and saw who I was playing, because I'm not stealing any of these running backs and I'm not stealing any of these wide receivers. So
Justin's going to write that down.
Yeah. Trying to come up with ideas from like my I'm creating like 50 new monsters. It's going to be wild next year, monster cards. So I have like 3 or 4 more I got to create. So go back and steal a different player.
Yeah,
And
now it can't affect. I don't think it would be too powerful if it could affect every week that they were involved. But
no. And I
it
wouldn't want to do all that
from when you go back or whatever. Because I would totally go back and steal Mixon now and steal one of these quarterbacks from him. If you're looking at his wide receivers, his running backs are Akers and Khalil Herbert. I'm not stealing either of those. And his wide receivers are Calvin Austin, Cortland Sutton, and Christian Watson. That's not an upgrade on any of my stuff. I'm actually considering sitting one of my Monday night people and putting a tight end in to try to steal one of his tight ends now, because it's the only thing that's worth it.
To keep it from being too powerful, though, it still counts against your steals for the year.
Yeah.
And would it have to be a player that was like in the starting lineup the week you're going back to steal,
Yeah. Yep. Starter for starter. I like that.
All right. Chris's video says Chubb or Hunt half PPR. George.
This is a good one right here, because I do like the matchup with Nick Chubb. I have been extremely happy with Kareem Hunt, what he's been able to do all year as well. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I have him ranked a little bit higher than Nick Chubb. And the one thing you can do on Buffalo is run on them. You can absolutely run the ball on Buffalo. They're next to last in the NFL against the rush. Not that New Orleans is any better, but they are slightly better than the Bills. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt, but this is a good option to have between these two.
Well, I'm always happy to be in the hunt. Justin.
And the hunt for some Chubb.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ!
We're getting deep in here.
That is a team name, by the way, that needs to be,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so before YouTube kicks us off, I was going to say.
I'm talking about NFL players. Listen, you take it any way you want. I'm talking about 2 professional NFL football players.
All right.
That's their names.
So before last week, Hunt had 7 receptions in the 5 games that he was with the Chiefs. Last week, the Broncos were finding a way to shut him down on the ground, and he had 7 receptions in 1 week. They're going to find a way to get Kareem Hunt the ball out of the backfield, just like they tried to do with any running back they have at that time. And that's just like George said, you can run against Buffalo, but if for whatever reason some crazy fluke happens, they're going to get him going in the air. I think that he's the man in there for this week for sure. So as much like I chose Chubb in a different question earlier, and I do think that this is a breakout game for Chubb, I'm still taking Hunt here in case I'm wrong.
So far, we're all hunting. Rich, I see you covering your mouth over there, so I'm going to pick you next.
Yeah, I was having a sneezing attack. I'm going Hunt. Not too much into it, just going Hunt.
It's always super difficult when you have to sneeze when you're down talking about Hunt. Dave?
Hunt.
And Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can bench Hunt. He's averaged 22 carries over the last 5 games, and last week was his least amount of carries with 14. And like Justin pointed out, he had 7 receptions on 10 targets. Like the amount of volume he's getting, you can talk about his efficiency or whatever, but it's just too much volume to not have him in your lineup.
Because I'm 3 years old, it's hard for me to think that with as deep into the groins as you got Mark, you weren't picking Chubb, and you were going fully with the hunt. But we'll move on. That's the whole team.
I didn't want to get involved in George's hunt for Chubb, so I let it be.
Listen, it's a fantastic team name. It really is.
All right. Brandon says start 2. Reed, Waddle, and Estime. I'm going to start with George because Waddle's involved.
I'm going. Who's starting 2?
Actually, you know what? I'm going to let Rich go first so I can tell him, hey, you have to start 2 here.
Did you say start 1?
Yeah.
Okay, what was the question again? Okay, there we go. Start 2. Okay, I'm going Reed and Estimate.
Reed and Estimate. Okay, George, I'll go back to you.
I'm starting.
He says PPR. Just
I'm starting Jaden Reed. That's my for sure start. So it comes down, do I want Waddle or Estime? Estimate's fun, but I think I'm going to go with Waddle here.
All right, Reed and Waddle. And Justin.
Give me Reed and Estime.
Reed and Estime. That's 2 for each of those 2. David.
Reed and Waddle.
All right, so Reed is the clear favorite here, and we're tied with Estime and Waddle.
I'm going Reed and Waddle.
All right. It is Reed and Waddle at the end here. Chris's video says Josh Jacobs, Juwan Jennings, or Nick Chubb, half PPR. Rich.
I am going to go Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, Green Bay. David.
I'm going to go Jacobs as well.
2 for Josh Jacobs. Mark.
Josh Jacobs.
3 for Josh Jacobs. Justin.
Chubb.
1 for the Chubb. And then George.
Nick Chubb, only because it's half PPR. If this was full PPR, I would go with Juwan Jennings.
All right, so 3 for Josh Jacobs, 2 for Nick Chubb. Chris video is also.
I got a quick question for you guys. Would you guys trade Tony Pollard and Deontay Johnson for Terry McLaurin in a half-point PPR league?
Smash that damn button.
What are your running backs outside of Pollard?
Outside of Pollard, my running backs are actually pretty decent in this league. I've got it's a 16-team league. My running backs are Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Wright, Cordell Patterson, and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I'd do it.
The only thing I'd be worried about there is losing Hunt's production. So then you're at Pollard and
and I've got Kenneth Walker too.
Walker and Brooks.
Yeah, I've got Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Wright, Cordell Patterson, Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, you do. You have Hubbard too. Okay, then yes, I'm definitely snapping that trade. If it was just Brooks without Hubbard, I'd be a little nervous. But yeah, 100%.
It just kills my depth, is what it does.
Yeah.
All right. But let's get back to this question. JSN, BTJ, or Downs in half PPR? I'm going to start with Justin.
Okay. I think for this one, I'm going to go with JSN with him shifting over. He's going to be taking on the second guy on the 49ers defense. And I think my son's here now, so I'm going to be taking off. But just want to throw out there one last time, at Toilets to Titles on Blue Sky. It's a new thing for us. Come and find us and follow us. We follow back all football accounts, football related accounts. So if you're a bot on here, please don't be following us. None of that. But also, Blue Sky doesn't really have all the bots that X has. But anyway, I'm out. Have a good night and good luck to you guys. Appreciate you letting me come back on.
Later, Justin.
Good,
We'll see you.
good to have you, Justin. All right, so that was one for JSN. Mark.
I'm going Downs.
All right, JSN and Downs. Rich.
Is it pick 2?
Pick one. This would be the one you'd pick 2 on, though.
I'm benching Downs.
But you need to
pick
bench
one.
2. Pick one.
He picked 2 anyway.
BTJ then.
All right, you're taking BTJ. Okay. George.
Think I'm going BTJ here.
2 for BTJ. David.
I'm gonna go Downs.
Yeah, tied up.
Yeah, I mean, I've already talked down so much that I couldn't actually start him. I would technically tie this up as JSN, and we'd be 2-2-2, but I can't do that to Chris. So I'm gonna say BTJ because, like I said, I think Richardson gets like 17 attempts and he's completing 30% of his passes, maybe 40% as average. What's that? That what gives him 5 or 6 completed passes, and unless they're all to Downs, you're not going to be super happy here. So I'm going to go BTJ. And I say all that, and Richardson's going to come off his benching and look like the next coming of Peyton Manning. Watch.
We could skip this question. It's obvious. It's Chase Brown.
I was going to go Mark first, but Dave was so excited he jumped in.
It's our first Chase Brown question of the day.
You went against Brown last week, so you don't get to.
You went against him the week before. I don't want to hear it.
And I was right. It was Jonathan Taylor. Who'd you pick over him? DJ Moore?
I don't remember. No, it wasn't DJ Moore. Now we got to go
All right.
back.
Chase Brown, Dobbins, or Chubb. I mean, they're all there. If you guys want to go back and watch it, it's I don't recommend watching old shows,
Don't we have
but
you
you can. I don't mind our views. All right, Dave. Dave goes Chase Brown. Mark, you're going Chase Brown.
Yes.
George, you going Chase Brown? Or you gonna Chubb up?
Yeah, I'm going Brown here. It's close with Chubb, but I'm going with Brown.
That's 3, and then Rich.
Yeah, I'm going Brown too. I don't know if we discussed this earlier, and I think this was brought up, but Bixby is out, so I didn't know if we had questioned that earlier.
I think we settled it on that last time, but it's good to know for sure. So, all right, Chase Brown. It is for this question. Brandon Williams says, what to do about CD? Start CD Lamb, Tillman, or Amari in a PPR? I'm going to start with George.
Making it hard on my trade negotiations right now. I'm still starting CD over those guys. Tillman's close, but I'm Mark Cooper is not close. I'm going CD about this. Listen, it's one of those things where if CD goes out and has a good game, you're going to kick yourself in the arse because you benched him for Tillman or Amari Cooper.
Yeah, if CD doesn't get blinded by the sun, you're happy with. You're not ecstatic with his production last week, but you're happy with it. But still, Mark.
I don't think we have to worry about being upset about it because I think Tillman still produces, and yeah, I'm going Tillman over CD. Amari, is he playing for sure? Even if he is playing, I think they said he's going to play with a cast, right? So I'm not starting him.
All right, Dave.
Sorry, I was looking up who I had chose over Brown, but it's not updated in the doc yet. No, I'm going Tillman here.
2 for Tillman. Rich.
No, in this case, I'm riding CD. I like Tillman, but I'm riding with CD on this one.
So here's what I would say: if you are projected to lose, and by a decent amount, I'd throw CD in because he could always have a blow up game. But I think if it's a close game, you're projected to win. For me, it'd be Tillman because I think he has the safer floor of the two. With that said, to not like hedge, I'm going to say Tillman over CD until we actually see him do something with either of these quarterbacks, Lance or Cooper Rush. Like I want to see it. So I'm gonna play Tillman, who's had a couple of good games with Jameis Winston. Guys, this one I don't even know what you do here. You got to sit one of these guys. Do you sit CMC, Kamara, Henry, or A-Chain? You have to sit one.
I saw a couple of his other questions coming up too. Like, how did he get the roster that he has? This is a tough one.
Well, I mean, if you had the first overall pick, like CMC was a first round guy, A-Chain's a second round guy, Henry was a third round guy, and Kamara was a later round guy, you could get him in the 5th and 6th round.
Dude, he had 3 receivers that are first round guys too.
Could be multiple different leagues. He could have traded for CMC when he was injured. I mean, it's logical. There's ways you can assemble that.
If you went running back heavy, you could absolutely have all of these guys out of the draft.
Yeah, regardless, though, I'll sit A-Chain out of these 4.
David?
This is stupid. I'm going to sit the one with the hardest matchup, and I'm going to sit Derrick Henry.
Oof, sitting down Derrick. All right. Rich.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be in my counter port over here on my right. I'm benching Henry. I am not benching A-Chain against the Raiders defense.
All right, that's 2. George?
Who are the Saints playing?
Cleveland.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sit Kamara.
All right, so we are sitting Derrick Henry by a vote of 2 to 1 to 1. Next question: Ingram or Hawkinson in a PPR, George?
I'm going Hawkinson.
That's 2 for Hawkinson with David's thumb up.
I think for me, Ingram's the only guy you can consider starting on the Jaguars, but I'm still going Hawkinson here.
That's 3 for Hawkinson, and then Rich.
Garbage time. It'll be Ingram for me.
All right, 3 for Hawkinson, 1 for Ingram. And then Chad Roan says, David cracked me up with the "this is stupid." And that was based on having that many good running backs.
He said that in a good way, though.
Oh, for sure. That was a holy crap, your team's stupid good.
Yeah,
and
any one of the ones that's actually hard for me to choose, I call them stupid.
Wait till you get to his receiver question.
We're getting there. Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, or Mooney in a PPR. I'm assuming pick one. I'm going to start with David.
Damn it. I got to ride Najee. I said I think that the Steelers are going to be able to run for 150 tonight, so let's go with Najee.
All right, Najee for David. George?
I'm going to go with Nick Chubb here. I've got him ranked higher than Najee. Jalen Warren coming back means a reduced workload for Najee Harris. I'm going to go with Nicholas Chubb.
David's riding Najee. George is riding Chubb. Mark?
Well, I'm going to make it a 3-way split. David, you disappoint me. You told me how London's going to be on PS3 and Mooney's going to have the game. It's PPR. I got to go Mooney here.
Listen, I considered Mooney. My only problem with it is the whole Denver defense has been okay, whereas the Ravens defense has been hot garbage. So I just went with the better overall, or the worst overall defense that they were facing.
All right, we got a 3-way split. Rich, you can break it up.
Chubb.
All right, we got 2 people riding that Chubb. So Chubb it is GOAT. And then we're gonna get to the wide receiver question. Puka, Cup, Wilson, start one.
And not bench one. Only start one of these 3.
Well, look at the running backs he's starting. Who else? I mean, come on. Are you gonna like? Here's what I say.
Why his name is GOAT. Okay.
Which we can do this because we don't know if this is the same league, but let's assume it is, right? Would you start any of these wide receivers over any of those running backs?
No.
I think the answer is no. So you have
PPR, though. It's PPR.
I don't care.
I don't care either. Yeah, I'm starting all 4 of those running backs over these 3.
So, but you have to do one of these wide receivers because I'm assuming you have to start one. Rich, which of these wide receivers are you starting?
I want to start out that I can't be put in the same sentence as riding Chubb. So please say walk the Chubb or something like that. I just can't be put in that sentence.
How about sharing Chubb with Jory?
Nah, I still want to go with walk.
You know what? You're swallowing that Chubb is going to be great this week.
Oh, man. Let's go. You know what? Start one. I am going Puka just because he got kicked out and he's going to come back and kick some ass. Pardon my French.
Yeah, for the weakest punch ever. That wasn't even a punch. It was a shove.
All right, so Puka for 1. Dave, you with him?
Yeah, I'm going to go Puka. I'm not going – I mean, out of these 3, I'm going to choose one that actually has a quarterback. And unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is basically in a wheelchair. So, and I assume that's Garrett Wilson. So, I'm going to go Puka.
All right, 2 for Puka. Mark?
I'm going Puka, but I will also say if this is the same team, I would go Puka and Wilson and drop Kamara out of my running backs that I chose earlier.
All right, and George?
The disrespect that you guys are showing towards Cooper Kupp is mind-boggling to me. For me, this was an easy one, actually. It was Cooper Kupp all the way.
Listen, if Puka hadn't been kicked out for a not punch, I would have said Cooper Kupp. But because he got kicked out for a not punch, I'm going with Puka in a comeback.
That just shows his poor decision-making. That's all it does.
It was a football shove. It was nothing.
I mean, that was 2 weeks ago, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it was.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless he punched somebody last week that we're unaware of.
He might have.
So we went Puka there. Brandon says Russ, love Goff or Herbert this week.
Trade some quarterbacks.
Right? Why do you have 4 quarterbacks?
My guess is he's picking up off the waiver here. He doesn't actually have 4. That's going to be my guess. Because Herbert, look, I picked up Herbert off the waiver wire this week. Like, he's available in a lot of leagues.
Our leagues are way different.
Goff is coming off a 5 interception game, so I can see him being on the waiver. And then they're playing the Jags, and they could score 40 points, and Goff has 40 yards. You know what I mean? Like, I don't – there was a game earlier this year where they scored in the 50s, and I think he had 80 total yards. So, like, it's possible he's just hanging out there. Love, we all talked about having the small groin issue. That's what Mark is reporting.
Tiny. It was tiny, he said.
Tiny groin issue there.
Come on, Jason.
So,
get it right.
With the injuries and how he's been playing, I can see him on waivers. So I'm going to guess he's going to be picking somebody up. He doesn't have all 4 of these guys. That's just a guess. But with all that said, I'm going to let Rich go first.
Yeah, I'm going Herbert.
All right, Herbert it is. Dave?
Man, I was going to go Goff, but I kind of feel like it's not going to be a close game. So I'm going to go with Russ because that defense is terrible for the Ravens, and I think that they're going to have to score to keep up because the Ravens offense, regardless of how good the Steelers defense is, the Ravens offense is still legit. So,
all right, that's 1 for Herbert, 1 for Russell Wilson. Mark?
To me, it was between Russ and Herbert. Burrow's firing on all cylinders right now, and the secondary sucks, so Herbert's going to have to keep up with them. So I expect a lot out of Herbert this week.
All right, we got 2 for Herbert, 1 for Russ. George.
I want to start the quarterback going against the worst defense in the NFL. The game could be a blowout, but that just means Jared Goff most likely had a really good game to get to that blowout. Give me Jared Goff against those Jaguars.
That does not mean he's going to have a huge game because it could be all Montgomery and Gibbs on the ground blowing them out and everything. Jason said earlier, man, there's been some games where they've had some high scoring and Goff is just not putting up numbers because they lean on those running backs. I get what you're saying and stuff. It just, whew.
Yeah, I am. We're 2-1 Herbert to Russell Wilson here, so 2-1. So it is Herbert. In a different league, Brandon needs to know Love or Russ, and I'm assuming we've got one Russ. Anybody going with the tiny groin here?
I think the Bears are so bad right now. Like, Green Bay is not going to have to score that much. So I'm going Russ.
2 Russ. George?
I
got 3 Russ with Rich nodding down there. So 3 Russ.
I'm going with Russ. It's close. It's real close. I got back to back in my rankings here, but I'm going to go with Russ.
All right, that's for Russ.
Good rankings.
Bobby Ham says Jalen Wright. Back from when we were talking about Jalen Wright. And then Jimmy says, better team to pick to win. Dolphins over the Raiders, Texans over the Cowboys, 49ers over the Seahawks. It's for the survivor pool pick. I don't know if you should ask us, because last week I think we unanimously chose the Falcons, and that didn't go well. But since you did ask us, I'm going to let David go first.
Yeah, I'm praying that it's the Texans because I'm alive in 3 of these still, including one pretty big one. And I'm rolling with the Texans in all of them. So,
all right, Dave's getting ready to bounce himself out of all 3. Mark?
In one of my survivor pools, actually, the one Jimmy's running, number 3, I had the same exact question: Dolphins or the Texans, and I went Texans. So,
I almost think you should go Dolphins here because when else do you feel comfortable saying them for sure? But
I'm not really going to feel comfortable saying the Raiders, or I mean the Texans either.
That's true. George.
Dolphins at home playing against a West Coast team coming east. Early game. Go with the Dolphins. They're the also most desperate team of the 3 here that you want to pick to win. That needs a win because if they don't win, they're probably have 0 shot at the playoffs.
Listen, here's my only thing is I'm not picking any team that's facing a team who had a coordinator switch before their last game anymore. Otherwise, I'd be cool. And I did pick the Dolphins to win today. I'm just not doing it in a survivor league.
Yeah, the tiebreaker for me was which would I be more shocked on Monday if I said the Cowboys won or the Raiders won, and I think I'd be more shocked with the Cowboys.
All right, and then Rich.
Yeah, obviously this is like a complete copy of the same conversation we had back in week 2 when the Ravens were playing the Raiders, and this was kind of the same situation. My most confident is the Texans, but I'm going to call it right here. Raiders are beating the Dolphins today.
Let's put that on the board.
Boy.
All right. Chad in an STD league.
Go with chlamydia.
I think that's one you can get over, so I think that's one you need to keep.
Like, what are the requirements to get into an STD league?
First off, you got to test positive.
For what? All of it?
Any of it. There's different options.
Are you guys looking
gonorrhea, chlamydia, herpes, HIV? I mean, you got options.
Are you guys looking at this question? In week 1, if we read this question, it would be a surprise that this was even a question because it would be Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf hands down. None of these people.
George was just listing every STD possible. Do you think he was looking at the question?
Maybe.
I mean,
there's way more
baby moms he has.
I was going down that rabbit hole with you, George. There's
more players on this list than there is infections that you get,
but less than Tyreek Hill has kids.
Chad enjoyed the conversation. See. All right, but it is noon, and I know we're supposed to shut it down at noon so we can go do our own league.
Plethora
So
of leagues.
let's get actually. Plethora is close enough to urethra that I don't want to talk about that in an STD. Let's start here. Since Dave is trying to get us back on track, I'm going to let him go first.
Listen, I'm trying to have fun. It depends. If you feel safe, I'm putting in Tyreek Hill and Metcalf. If you need some boom, some fun, some happiness, I'm going Jennings and Tillman.
All right, so if Jennings and Tillman,
wide receiver 2 and flex, yeah, Jennings and Tillman.
Oh, I took that as 2 wide receivers. All right.
All right, so if you're wearing a condom, playing it safe, Jennings and Tillman. All right. No SCD there. Mark, go.
I'm gonna go Hill and Jennings.
Hill and Jennings. 2 for Jennings, 1 for Hill, 1 for Tillman. George.
Hepatitis and chlamydia.
Okay, got hepatitis
and Hill and Metcalf.
It's
Hill
gonna be
and-
it's Hill and Metcalf for me.
Yeah. Hey, I told you.
All right, so
you know what? When 2 Marines think like that, we know what we're talking about.
all right, we've got 3 for Hill, 2 for Jennings, 2 for Metcalf. I'm gonna go Jennings and Hill here. Oh wait, it's STD league. I'm gonna go Metcalf and Hill here, and that's who's gonna win.
Yeah, I think I actually have to switch Jennings out with Metcalf. So Hill and Metcalf for me.
Yeah, I think Jennings is great in PPR, but I'm not sure. I mean, other than the one game where he had 3 touchdowns, I'm not sure he's been a touchdown machine.
Yeah, like I said, it's Hill and Metcalf. If you those are the safe options for sure. If you need some boom, if you look like you're going to be behind, then I'm going, Jennings and Tillman.
And nobody wants to get an STD from behind. All right,
Correct.
Chad Rowan says, I need to drop a person to bring Metcalf from my IR slot. McCaffrey and his handcuff. My options for dropping one are Downs, Dobbins, Dowdle. And should I go ahead and drop Mason?
Of that list, I'm going to drop Dowdle. Nobody's going to run out to the waiver wire and be excited to claim Rico Dowdle. You want to hold on Mason. If injury pops up again with McCaffrey, you want to protect against that. Josh Downs and Dobbins are going to be better than Dowdle anyway. So that's what I would do.
Mark?
I'm dropping Mason. I do think you can still use Dowdle. I mean, in some situations, like if you have bye weeks coming up or anything like that. So I'm just dropping Mason. And unless McCaffrey gets hurt, I mean, nobody's running out to stash a backup.
That is so not true. Especially after the way Mason looked without McCaffrey in there, you're going to have a lot of people run out to.
I mean, he's also been hurt recently too. So I mean,
if I saw someone drop Mason,
well,
I'm running to go get Mason. That way, when McCaffrey gets hurt, I can trade him back to that person that dropped Mason.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So who are you dropping, Rich?
With that saying, I'm dropping Mason. No, I'm just kidding. Dowdle. Dowdle.
All right, you're dropping Dowdle.
I'm going to drop Dowdle as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, they came out and said that Dowdle is going to be the man that going forward, but the man on a really bad offense is still, his opportunity to score.
It's still Bo Nix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kranis has got another question. Dobbins or Ramondre Stevenson this week, George?
I think I'm going Ramondre. Come back to me. I want to double check my rankings, but my initial gut feeling is Ramondre.
Okay, that's Ramondre. Mark?
Ramondre.
David?
Dobbins.
And Rich?
Man, I'm going Dobbins.
All right, that ties it up.
Patriots are playing the Rams.
Yeah, that's why I'm going Ramondre. Because the Patriots are playing the Rams. And Dobbins is going to be splitting. Mark knows.
We let people run all over us. I'm not saying we're going to beat the Patriots, but Ramondre will have a good game. He should score a touchdown.
Here's the thing, Dobbins. I'm not saying Dobbins is taking a backseat to Gus Edwards, but Gus Edwards did have 10 carries last week. His competition there is not something that Dobbins has had when he was doing as well as he was doing. Now that he's got Gus Edwards back
in that game.
Yeah. So I think I'm going Ramondre Stevens, he's been absolutely terrible as far as his average goes, but he's been scoring, so good for him. Pick 2 flexes: CeeDee Lamb, Jennings, Dobbins, Pollard, Dubs, and Williams. Got pick 2. We're gonna start with Mark.
Okay. Well, first I'm gonna add a thing, and I'm gonna cut Javonte Williams. But no, I'm gonna go Jenny.
That's Jameson Williams.
Oh, that's a good question.
It doesn't make a difference.
I'm going Jennings and Pollard. If it is Jameson Williams, I would probably.
It is Jameson. He just clarified.
I'll start Jameson over Pollard, so I'd go Jennings and Jameson.
And I'm going the same too. Jameson and Jennings.
Okay, Rich.
Lamb and Dobbins.
Okay, one of each of those. George.
Lamb and Jennings.
All right, and then I've got a tie between Jameson Williams and Lamb, and I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb and Juwan Jennings, so it's Jennings and Lamb.
If you were in a redraft and you have Lamb, what's the lowest you would take for him at now? Like, what's a comparable player you would trade him for receiver-wise?
I mean, I think you probably want to trade him for a running back, right? Because, like, you're not going to get one-on-one. I mean, because right now, you're not going to get much for him as far as a wide receiver goes.
I mean, he still has name value to some people. And, like, if you're willing to take a downgrade, like, I have no confidence in him going forward. So, like, a guy like, I don't know. What about Tyreek Hill that's playing not as great either? Would you swap the two?
Here's an example. I have a league where I have Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase. And my fourth guy is DJ Moore. I'm still starting CeeDee Lamb this week over DJ Moore. So that's like my cutoff. DJ Moore and under.
Would you trade CeeDee Lamb for like a Debo or a Jennings?
Yes. Maybe not a Jennings until I see a little bit more consistency out of him.
See, I think I might trade Lamb for Jennings in a redraft.
All right, guys, we got a couple more questions. It's just about 10 after, so we're going to get through these. Should I go with JMO or keep rolling with Calvin Ridley? I don't typically just answer these, but Ridley's been getting 30 to 40% of the target share there.
Yeah,
he's had what? Yeah, so for me, this would be Ridley.
Yeah, it's Ridley for me.
That's George. 2. That's 3.
Where are the Titans playing today?
What's that?
Who are the Titans playing?
Oh, Minnesota.
The Vikings.
Minnesota.
Yeah, no, it's JMO for me this week.
All right. That's 4-1. See, I told you. All those Dave likes to be contrarian. Justin Dildine. Half-point PPR worthy. Elijah Moore or Pop Douglas. I think that's going to be Pop Douglas for everybody here. Anybody disagree?
Yeah, it's going to be Elijah Moore for me.
I was going to say I'm going Elijah Moore. I think he's got the highest floor of them all.
I'm going Pop Douglas.
Pop Douglas. Okay.
That ties it up. I'm going to say Pop Douglas. 3-2-2. Mini Jordan, which wide receiver should I start? I try to target if I want to upgrade from McLaurin. My roster, QB Stroud.
The problem is he doesn't tell us what options he has. Is it just anybody?
Yeah, I mean, go get Drake London. Yeah. Mini Jordan, hit us up on our Discord or Blue Sky or on X, whichever one you want, and then go over some different trade scenarios, and we'll be happy. We're super accessible everywhere, so We'll be happy to go over
running
trade.
back room though.
We'll be very happy to answer specific questions if you have them. Kind of hard to give you options without knowing what other teams are available. We'll need a guy for wide receiver 3 and a flex. Ladd, Quentin Johnson, Christian Watson, Mostert, and Deontay Johnson. Rich, you're going first. We need a wide receiver and a flex.
Yeah, I'm going McConkey, and then I'm throwing Mostert in the flex.
Ladd and Mostert. Dave.
I'm going to go with both of the Chargers wide receivers. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and they both should be able to eat.
Q and Ladd. Mark.
David took the words out of my mouth. I was looking. I was like, man, I don't know who to choose between McConkey and Johnson. Then I looked at the rest of the names. I said, why not go both?
All right, Ladd and Q. George.
McConkey and Raheem Mostert. I want to get the running back in the flex going against the Raiders.
Yeah, and I think Ladd is the slam dunk here. Typically, I like Q, but again, it's tie. And I like a running back over Quentin Johnson that we mentioned before. He's been touchdown dependent. So I'm going to say Mostert. So it's Ladd and Mostert here. I do want to mention the Dave cracked him up with the "This is stupid" one more time. Tight end options: Jonnu, Henry, or Disney. I think he means Disley instead of Disney. But I mean, if you can start the mouse, you always start the mouse. But Jonnu, Henry, or Disley,
right?
Huh?
Disney doesn't own the rights to the mouse anymore, right?
There's only one or two like iterations of the mouse that is like that's a public domain now because they've had it for so long. But that's just like Steamboat Willie or whatever. They still own some of the mouse. So, Jonnu, Henry, or Disley, David.
Any of them? Henry, I guess. But I any one of them is comparable to each other in my opinion. I'd probably say Henry.
All right, Hunter Henry. Rich.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I'm going Henry here.
2 for Henry. George.
I think I'm going to go with Universal Studios. I just prefer them over Disney personally. I also like Jonnu Smith this week.
Okay, 2 for Henry, 1 for Jonnu. Mark.
It's pretty easy, Henry, for me.
All right. And then he did say, yeah, damn autocorrect. It is Disley. And then Bobby Ham says, should I drop Mason for Gus Edwards? I wouldn't do that.
No, you should not.
And then that is the end of our questions. Guys, I want to thank everybody for all of your questions this week. I want to thank all of you who watched, who asked questions, who interacts with us outside of here, either on Discord or on X or on Blue Sky. Thank you for being a part of our fantasy football week each and every week. I do really appreciate it. Dave, why don't you mention your card breaks?
Yeah, we're doing card breaks over on Facebook under Genesis Card Breaks. We've done some UFC. We just did a baseball one last night. Ended up with a very nice patch for Paul Skeens, as well as a Sal Frelick auto out of 25 and an on-card Bobby Miller auto who just won the World Series. So come join us.
All right, and that's on Genesis Card Breaks. So go check that out. For us, you can get us on our Patreon. /Toilets to Titles. Manny Jordan wants the Discord league link, so if one of you fine gentlemen be able to get that to Manny Jordan here, we can get Manny Jordan into our Discord, which would be great. Let me turn this banner off. So we do have a Discord chat that you can reach out to us at, and then if you reach out to either Justin or any of these guys, we'll be able to get you that link. So if you do want to join us, but again, remember patreon.com/toilets title. We have $2.99 all the way up to the George will ride the Chubb tier. So we've got just about anything you can imagine between $2.99 and up. So, and like I said, we are super accessible throughout the week. You can reach out to any of us and we'll give you our fantasy advice. So with that, for me, George, Mark, Frito, Fantasy Genius, catch us Tuesday nights on the standard show. Catch us Friday nights for This Guy is Fragile, and then right back here Sunday for this Start to Sit title time show. Thank you, and good luck, everybody, this week. And it didn't play the video, so
No,
we'll try
you
that
didn't.
one. We'll try that one more time.